what makes for a really good experience working with a cooperating agent? I think right now we have to double down on being a really good business person and cooperating with other agents, which is kind of the whole mastermind here is the thought process of like being able to connect with each other and work with each other. What makes a very good transaction with another agent and makes you want to work with them again. We were just talking about this last week in our office, and we said there's times on the communication side of things where an agent will make a decision on which buyer they're going to choose based on which agent it is. And it might not have anything to do with us, but we have to be very aware of how we're communicating with the agent and what kind of relationships we're having with agents, because it could make a difference for our sellers, our buyers, everybody that's in contact with the whole real estate transaction.
I 100% know that I've gotten deals for my buyers because the other agent liked me, right? And I 100% know that my buyers have chosen other agents' offer because I know this guy, he's gonna make sure this fucking gets done. My mentality always, whether on the other side of the table is somebody I know or not, is I wanna be best friends with that person. And I wanna do it in a 5-minute phone call, right? And Dan and I are a great example of this. Dan and I worked a deal together that failed. Dan was the listing agent, I was the buying agent, I had buyers. We immediately left the house. My buyer said, yeah, we're gonna put in an offer. I picked up the phone, didn't even leave. Picked up the phone and said, hey Dan, you don't know me, but I'm Dave. And my buyers, I said, hey, my buyers are interested in your place. I've got a couple of questions, right? I don't have any questions, but it's always good to like at least seem like I need you, right? I'm starting to build friends and build relationships. And so the one that I always ask is, hey, when would be a perfect closing date for your buyers, right? That is, or your sellers, right? What is a perfect closing date? Because we can already start to get the sellers on our sides. But at the end of the day, it's all about that communication piece, interacting with them, starting to make friends, shooting the shit, right? And there's so many little pieces that come in with that of, hey, now I know the perfect date for my sellers, but also the other agent might start to give you information. They're like, actually, you know, they're just ready to sell. Okay, cool, now I know I can drop the price a little bit. Or, hey, maybe it's not the price that's important. They really want to get the price, but they're okay giving out some seller concessions or some of these other things. But it's all about that really good communication. And it starts with phone call, text, interacting with them, just like you would like to. I'm always shocked at how many times I will go to a property, I will go through the property, I'll leave the property, and I'll never hear from the other agent. Communication, talk to each other, make friends. We're not enemies, right? What's the first slide you had in there? Like, we're all on this together. And the more we work together, again, you're building those relationships. The more people want to work with you. The more times they'll choose your offer over the other offer that's exactly the same, right? All big things here. Okay.
Biggest thing is if you have a buyer who wants to buy and a seller who wants to sell, we should be able to make it happen. So there's going to be problem solving throughout the transaction. That's what we get paid to do, is problem solving, get it to closing. General public really doesn't have an idea of how to get it to closing. That's why they're hiring us. And we're called co-brokes for a reason. We're collaborating to get the buyer to buy and the seller to sell. So everything's just so much easier when you're not trying to one-up someone, or I've been in the business for 27 years. Just work together. At the end, we all win. So buyer gets their house and the seller gets to sell their house. Everything's a much easier transaction, just being open and listening and collaborating.
But I really think it's important from the get-go, before that first showing, to really start that relationship. I think something that's really funny to me, being, I've been in the business for 1.5 years now, right? So still somewhat of a baby agent. Getting started, the difference in conversations between when you're the buying agent versus when you're the listing agent. When you're the listing agent, everybody wants to be your best friend, right? But when you're the buying agent, sometimes that energy isn't always reciprocated. Starting it from the beginning, from day one, I think is super important to build that relationship.
So what are you going to do as the next listing agent to make sure that all your buying agents feel that energy?
Say, fuck you. Highest and best, and that's it. No, I mean, I really think it just comes down to a friendly tone in your voice, picking up the phone,
Yep.
like just being available when possible and having the exact same energy you would bring as if you were on the buyer's agent.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, right, you want the most amount of offers possible, you want the most amount of business for your seller to get them the best deal possible, and that starts with you being helpful as a listing agent, being more than willing to answer questions and be a resource for your sellers.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome.
Obviously, it's communication, you guys. So it's really important to create that relationship and make both sides feel like we're here in this together. We all want to get to one point, right? The closing table. So let's work together and make this happen because there's always a way to solve the problem.